Hey folks, today we're going to do an oil change on my 2024 Wrangler JL with the 3.6 liter V6. Let's get started. So you don't need too many items to do this. You need 5 quarts of 0W20, a compatible oil filter with this engine, a 13 millimeter to drain the oil out of the pan, and a 15/16 socket so you can remove the oil filter cap. Also need a drain pan of some sort to drain the oil responsibly and dispose of it. So a couple items of note here. You want to make sure you're using a 0W20 oil. That is what is listed for this engine. I'm using Mobil 1 Extended Performance because that's what I have. I'm also using a genuine Mopar filter. The part number is M0349. For the drain pan, these are kind of what you just get at O'Reilly's or whatever. The holes that they put in there are too small, so you want to make sure you cut them out, otherwise it will overflow. I learned that the hard way many years ago. And 2 more things here. One, on your sockets, you want to make sure you use 6-point sockets. The oil filter cap is plastic, and you could possibly strip or mar it with a 12-point. And same for the drain plug. It is a metal drain plug, but you'll get a better grip on it with a 6-point socket. And the last thing here is you want to make sure you wear some gloves. You can get these on Amazon or Costco. All right, so to open the hood of the JL, you got 2 buckles. You've also got a safety catch in the middle. You just push that to the driver's side and you got your engine. So here we are greeted with my rather dirty, dusty 3.6 liter. So a couple things before you start the oil change. I like to open the oil cap, just kind of leave it on there. That way I kind of know that, there's no oil in there. And I also do the same for the dipstick. We'll pull that all the way out. That way I know not to start the engine because we are draining the oil. So here we are under the Jeep. We're looking towards the back of the vehicle. You can see right here, this is our engine oil pan. Your Jeep might look a little bit different. This has the 6-speed manual transmission. So if you have the 8-speed automatic, you'll have another black oil pan on your transmission there. So mine doesn't have that, but this is the pan that you want to drain. All right, so I'm going to try to film this as best as I can, but we're going to get the 13 millimeter, put it right here on the drain. Again, you want to make sure it's nice and snug. It's a little tight. Bump it a little bit and we got it off there. Now let's see if I can drain this without making a mess. And there it goes. So while we wait for the oil to drain, we can go around the engine bay and check all of our fluids. So you got your brake fluid, and in this case it's also the clutch fluid. We can see it's right at the top where it needs to be. That's our engine coolant, and that's also right at the max line where it needs to be. You can check your washer fluid. This looks pretty full. It's that nasty orange looking color because I do have winter washer fluid in there, so it kind of mixes with the green and looks kind of gross. Moving over here, we do have power steering fluid. This one's a little bit harder to check, so you might want to shake the reservoir like that. And is it going to focus? There you are. Yeah, see, it's right about there. But this is the correct fluid to use for this system, so it's kind of a light green color. Okay, so I think you can see the fluid level there is right at the max. It probably took half an ounce of fluid, so I'm not exactly going to be worried about it. Anyways, let's go ahead and check to see if our oil's finished draining. And it is. It's just a really slow drip right now, so we'll go ahead and reinstall the drain plug. All right, so we have the drain plug reinstalled. Make sure the little rubber gasket that's on there gets a little bit of oil as you torque that down. So now I'll go ahead and remove the oil filter here. So we're just gonna get our 15/16 socket on there, make sure it's on there snugly, and just open it up just like that. Of course, feel free to torque it when you reinstall it if you'd like. I just do it by hand. I'm gonna very carefully remove this, try not to spill any oil, and there's our oil filter. So when you get to this stage, you want to remove the oil filter from the cap. So you just give it a nice pull and it'll come off. You also want to remove this O-ring and replace it with the new one that comes with your oil filter. And so one thing I want to show here, basically every oil change video I've ever seen, they'll always say to get like a pick or a flathead screwdriver to get this O-ring out of the groove. And you really don't need that. So I'll go ahead and show how I like to do it. So if you kind of squeeze the O-ring and just push out a little section of it, it's easier to do with two hands. You can kind of get your finger under there. See how there's a gap there? You can get your finger under there and pull it right off. So that's our oil filter assembly rebuilt, so to say. So we have our new O-ring on there. Make sure when you install that you have some used oil on there so it seals nicely and doesn't tear as you tighten it. We've got the new oil filter in there too. So when you install that, you just want to push it down till it clicks and it's good to go. So now we've got the oil filter back in the oil cooler housing. So we're gonna go and tighten that and clean up all the oil that's spilled. All right, so we've tightened our oil filter. Again, you really don't need to tighten that too far. Just tighten it by hand until it stops and you're good. And now I've got a nice clean funnel in here and we're gonna fill it up with 5 quarts of oil. Okay, so engine oil and filter have been replaced at this point. So you wanna put your dipstick back in and put your oil cap back on. Make sure you put that drain plug back in, everything's tight and clean. So we're gonna go ahead and grab the key for the Jeep, do the oil priming procedure. All right, so what we wanna do first before we start the engine is we want to prime the engine with oil. Jeep has a procedure where you can basically put your foot all the way on the throttle, all the way to the floor, crank the engine, and it'll just keep cranking without starting it. So by cranking it, you will actually pump fresh oil throughout the engine so that you don't start the engine dry. And I do have the manual transmission, so I'm gonna put my foot all the way down on the clutch and my right foot all the way down on the throttle. Make sure I'm in neutral. I'm gonna crank the engine. As you can hear, it doesn't start. And we'll stop there. Again, if you have the automatic, you'd put your foot on the brake and we'll start it like normal now. The Jeep is in run, the engine's off. I'm gonna hold OK to reset the oil life. And we're back to 100%, just like that. After you've started the Jeep for the first time with the new oil, let it settle for about 5 minutes after turning it off, and then you can check your oil level. Now on this particular Jeep, it's always been spot on with 5 quarts, and that's what the manual says. So I usually just put in 5 quarts and I don't even think about it, but it's good practice to go ahead and check your dipstick afterwards. The last thing is that, some people will say that you need to change your oil when the engine's hot, you need to change it when it's warm, or you gotta change it when it's stone cold. In my experience, it really doesn't matter. I like to do it when it's stone cold because then I don't burn myself. The oil's a lot thicker, so it doesn't splash as much. That's just my preference. All right, folks, so that's the oil change on the 3.6 liter Pentastar in a 2024 Wrangler. Very last thing you want to do is dispose of your oil responsibly, dispose of your oil filter responsibly. Don't put those in the trash or anything like that. Most auto parts stores will take the oil and filter. Some trash companies at your house, if you leave it at your curb with your trash, they'll come and take it too. Hope that helps some of you all out, and I'll see you in the next video.